Shanti, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Monday workshop series, Monday sharing series. So as always, every Monday we have a special guest from different parts of the world, where each one comes from a different cultural background, but everyone is seeking for God in their own way. And especially once we realize that we are the souls, everyone is souls, doesn't matter what culture, what gender, what color anyone is from. So, but culture has a big influence on how do we relate to God. And so we have with us Sister Antonella. She has been with Baba for decades together, for more than 3 decades now. And she comes from Italy. And I personally know her as a very loving soul. She embodies most of the qualities of the deities of Bharat. And I remember one experience when I was in Madhuban in Delhi, in December with youth retreat time. And she was feeding everyone this pasta and special food for everyone, especially when you come from your own culture, and then the food, you get dal roti and sabji there, which is very spicy and stuff. You don't get the full experience. So Baba has took instrument Antonella Ben, and then Baba gave full experience to everyone with food, and I felt that, wow, this is real spirituality. And she comes from a very she comes from her profession. She studied Oriental languages and culture both in Italy and Japan, wherein in 88 she came across the teachings of Brahma Kumaris while still studying at the university. She established and ran a successful fashion business in Sardinia before getting very much involved into this Baba studies and teaching to improve spirituality and values in herself and the people around. Involved in opening the BK centers in Milan, Olbia, Bologna. Please correct me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. And she has been main organizer for 4 international forums of spirituality and art, and promoted the living values activities in Italy. She's also core member of Baba's Yagya. Now the Yagya structure has the NCT's national core team. Since the very beginning, she's also an author. She has written 3 books on spirituality, and she has lots of meditation commentaries. And then today we will get definitely a taste of some of the meditation commentaries. And she is currently living in Bologna, where she is running daily programs and taking care of Baba's service in Italy. So currently she is teaching communication in school and negotiation skills in trade and union, and we very much need that while negotiating with our own sanskaras, and a lot of professional experience comes in dealing with spirituality, and Baba trains us to go much more deeper and start working at a different level. Without any further ado, I invite Sister Antonella to join. Please welcome, Sister Antonella. Welcome, Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, everyone. And thank you for the invitation to be with you this evening. Actually, for me, it's early morning, very early morning. But I'm aware.
Yeah, just for everyone, it is 3:30 a.m. early Amrit Vela time. So she's fresh and fully radiant with Baba's presence. We love to catch some vibes. Thank you for joining, making time.
Thank you. So I understood I was going to share my experience coming into the Brahma Kumaris. And I was enjoying my life a lot. I know that many people coming to Baba, they were really looking for God, for truth. I wasn't looking for anything. I was really enjoying my life. I used to study in the winter. I loved study. And I used to have a fashion business in summer in a wonderful place on the seaside. And so it was a good life, I can say. Enjoyable. Very enjoyable. But then while I was in Tokyo, as the brother mentioned, I was in Japan. One day, just walking out of the blue, with no specific reason, I asked myself a question, which it wasn't my way, you know. I was very young, mundane, you know, as normally superficial, ordinary people that think about material and enjoying life. So I wasn't very much into an inner search. But I asked myself a question which was unexpected and unusual. And that was, am I happy? And I was shocked by myself when the reply was no. And I thought, why not? I'm in the place I wanted to be. I have no problem with people. I had a wonderful relationship with the partner. I had no problem with money. My health was fine. Nothing was out of place on a material, superficial level. So the answer that came spontaneously from my heart surprised me. And I thought, then what's missing? And shortly after, the father of a friend of mine there left the body. And she was devastated. She was from Australia, because I used to live with few other students. We were students learning Japanese at school. So we were few girls living together. One of them was from Australia. Her father passed away. She was devastated, and she cried and cried nonstop. So we were very good friends. After 3 days, she was leaving to go back home, and she was serene. Suddenly, she stopped crying. She was very much, calm. So I asked her, what happened to you? Suddenly from being in that emotional upheaval to be so calm. And she said, my mom told me that my father passed away peacefully because he was doing yoga. And that cooled her down, knowing that he passed away peacefully. And that phrase stayed with me for hours. He passed away peacefully because he was doing yoga. So on the journey back from the airport, I kept thinking, me too. I want to die peacefully. But what's peace? I don't know. And what's yoga? I don't know. But that was stuck in my mind so deeply. As soon as I reached home, I remember having seen a little advertisement that was saying Raja Yoga courses. And so I called them. And a brother replied to me saying, I'm sorry, they're all in India. It was February. Everybody were in Madhuban. Of course, I didn't know anything. And so this brother that was there as a substitute of the other brothers told me, call in a month and they will be here. In my way of living, a month I would forget everything. I used to do instinctively what I felt and just go on. But unusually, again, after 1 month, I called them back. That was an incredible sign in my way of living. And I started the course, and that was the Brahma Kumaris. And the first time I went there, I was very diffident. Like, it's a free course. Either it's very good or it's very bad. Something free cannot be really worth, maybe, or is extremely worth. It cannot be a middle way. And but as soon as I opened the door, the brother that opened the door, I felt London, because we didn't know. We discovered many years after that I used to live in London, where I used to live, in the same area. So we probably met. We were living in the same houses. It was like an area. So the feeling of London, and where I did live for years, made me feel at ease, relaxed, something familiar in a way. And so I relaxed, and I became less diffident, less, like, what are they going to tell me? And so I started courses. And the first lesson, the first question they asked me was, "Who are you?" And I thought, gosh, it hasn't got much memory. I told him, "My name is Antonella." I know it's a difficult name for a foreigner, but I'm alone. I'm the only student, and he didn't remember. So first waste daughter. And but then immediately after, I thought, he didn't ask you what's your name. He asked you, "Who are you?" And again, I was shocked. I don't know. Can I be me and not knowing who I am? It's pretty strange. And so I look at the brother saying, "Now you tell me, you give me the answer." And when he said, "You are a soul," that was actually the first few lines he said, a pretty immediate course. I thought, wow, why I didn't think of that before? It's so obvious. Like, what else could I be if not the soul? And I start really drinking every word that he was saying like fresh water. And at the end, I did the experience of being a soul, really above. I went out of the center. I couldn't touch the floor. And that was my birth. And then I went back home, and I couldn't cope not talking about this. So I repeat the entire course to the people I used to live with. And so every time I went to the center to do the course, they were waiting for me at home for me to repeat the entire class. And I would remember everything. Really was getting into my blood. And I had a boyfriend somewhere in Rome. I was in Japan, so we used to call each other. I forgot him completely. It was my turn to call, and I forgot. And when he called me, I started talking to him, like, "Do you know you are a soul?" And and so I started giving Gyan to this brother, and he understood something did changed. In fact, of course, as soon as I came back to Italy, the relationship was over because I only talk about Gyan, nothing else that was interesting. So the change was really drastic, but it was a very strong feeling of finding something so precious I couldn't cope doing anything else. But I think that my journey started much before that. When I was 18, and I took Jan when I was 27, but when I was 18, I had a very strong relationship, and they wanted me to get married. I was young, still at school, but they wanted this to happen. My parents, their boyfriend. And I remember sitting while my mom and this boy were talking about a house, a future house. And I was silent, listening to them, nearly out of the conversation. But while they were talking, suddenly I had a very strong feeling. And I entered the conversation suddenly, out of really the blue, with one thought that I didn't recognize myself. And I said, I said this to them, a house is not a house without a room with red light, a carpet and cushions. And I was meaning Papa's room. I didn't know. And while I was saying, I was listening to myself saying, what are you talking about? And this is the comment they had. What are you talking about? What do you want, a studio? No, not a studio. A room with red light, cushion and carpet, no furniture, nothing. And really I was surprised saying, what am I talking about? They became silent, but after 2 weeks, the relationship was broken. Because I think it was the beginning of my awakening into another type of destiny. And then a few years after, I dreamt Brahma Baba. I just woke up one morning having dreamt this old man. And the voice behind his face, there was unclear, well, clear enough, but unclear what kind of culture was coming from. But the voice behind his face was, this man is going to tell you the truth. And so I woke up, excited, thinking, where is this man? And which language does he speak? So I thought, if he has to tell me the truth, he's probably so wise, must be China. The idea of the Chinese long, wise man. So I called the China embassy, asking them, can I learn Chinese? And how long does it take? Hurry. I wanted to learn as quick as possible because this man has to tell me the truth. And they said, well, it takes about 3 years. So long, was my answer. Anyway, that was over. Second night, same dream. And I woke up again, excited, where is this man? What's this truth? And I call again the China embassy, and the lady there recognized my voice, and he said, I told you, 3 years is the minimum course. Third night, same dream. And I was so, in a way, disturbed because I really wanted to know. And I called again the China embassy. They got upset because, they kept repeating the same information. And then I completely forgot, completely removed this experience, completely, like nothing happened. And after some months, I decided to take back university. I used to do law at the university, but I dropped. It wasn't for me. So I said, I'm taking another faculty at the university, and I will do Oriental language. But I didn't connect on a conscious level why I was doing that. And as soon as I entered the university secretariat, I saw a wonderful picture on the wall. And I asked the lady there, where is this place, wonderful place? And they said, Japan. And so I said, okay, I will study Japanese. Again, really instinctively. And I did study Japanese. And then I went to Japan, and that's where I met Papa. And only 10 years after, I was umbrella time, sitting in front of Papa, and eventually looking at Papa's picture, the memory of the dreams came back. And because I did forget them fully. And I thought, gosh, this was the man of my dreams. I didn't remember at all, but it was a very strong feeling, very strong emotion. Eventually, I did find that man, or better, he found me. And he did tell me the truth. And I had to study another language, not because it was his language, but because I had to go in another country. I would never take Jan in Italy, because the word God would make me sick. I had not a very good experience when I was in the kindergarten with nuns, and they were not very nice. So I didn't want to have nothing to do. I had a big rejection to the church and that kind of religion, even though I'm born in the most Christian Catholic country. But the rejection of that religion was very deep. And due to the kindergarten experience, maybe to previous birth, I don't know, but that was very deep. So as soon as I came back to Italy and I went to the BK Center, there was only one at that time in Rome. And I started talking Gyan in Italian, and they said the word God in Italian. I felt like just running away. And luckily, I was already quite rooted in this path. A lot of faith, a lot of experiences. So I just, talk to myself, saying, "Hold on, it's just a word. You can cope with that." And so I stayed, but I didn't mention the word God for quite some time. It was something very deep within myself with this kind of religion. And so that's why Baba had to bring me in another country and had their course in another language. Luckily, I studied English much earlier, so that was a plus for me. And so that's how I came into this knowledge. And coming back to Italy from Japan, I been still very diffident. I wanted to check if every center would say the same thing. And if there was not a man like a guru, I wouldn't accept a guru figure or a human mind in that way. So I stopped in Hong Kong to check if they were talking the same language, saying the same thing. And luckily, it was like that. So, and it was an incredible experience of my second Murli there. And then in Singapore, I had the experience of a family. One day experience can last forever. Like my childhood lasted very shortly between those three places. in Hong Kong one day, in Singapore one day. But the imprinting of the power of knowledge in Hong Kong, the power of the family in Singapore was so strong and deep. Because as soon as I came back to Italy, for many reasons, my childhood was the end quite quickly. I went straight into, variety of sanskara, service, many things. But the stamp of the family and what I experienced earlier was so powerful. And surely an intense faith in Papa. And I felt that my main teacher was actually Brahma Papa. I would sit really having few weeks of Gyan. I would sit in front of Brahma. And if he was smiling, that meant I was doing right. If he wasn't smiling, that meant I had to revise my dharana, or my attitude, my thought. And so I felt he was guiding fully my Brahmin life since the very beginning. That's why I think he has been my main sustenance. And when we know we didn't meet Brahma Papa physically because we took Jnana after he left, but I don't really feel that. I feel I was born, through the inspiration of Brahma in my dreams, and I've been sustained by Brahma on a daily basis through his speeches. And so, luckily, the relationship with Brahma Baba was extremely intense. And I've been alone in a center for many years. So, Brahma Baba, Bab Dada, of course, Shiv Baba, unless those relationships are so strong, being alone is not so easy. But I've never felt to be alone, really, and dedicated to service fully, even though I kept working from time to time, not consistently, but so that was actually my journey that led me to open different centers, actually. Because after a few months in Rome, Daddy came and she said, you go to Milan and open a center. I only had few months, 9 months in Gyan. And so I went to Milan and to look for a place and open a center with another sister. And then after 3 years Milan, they sent me back in Sardinia to open a center there. And then after 10 years in Sardinia, then Bologna, where I am now, since 20 years. So I find Brahmin life is just an incredible adventure. It's a love story and an adventure, which is so entertaining. So I'm very thankful to Papa that he's been pulling me out of this world, I can see people suffering so much, being so confused, so lost, and we are so focused, so clear, so rich inside. So much grateful to Papa. Should I carry on, brother, or should we have?
Yeah, it will be nice if you can give a little meditation How it
Okay.
felt initially when you came.
So we do 5 minutes meditation. Okay. So I just sit back on the throne of my self-respect, feeling the power of silence within me. And in the silence, looking at Baba in front of the eyes of the heart and taking his drishti. A drishti that lasts forever. A drishti that will accompany for the entire kalpa. And I see myself in the way he sees me, with his loving, powerful drishti. Not seeing myself in the way people see me, and the way Baba sees me. And that's how I can change myself. Catching his vibration, absorbing his love, being an instrument for him in this adventure, in this journey from human to angel, from human to deity. It's a long path and yet very short, very twisty path and yet very clear. And I feel myself fortunate, a lucky soul, having met the one that knows me deeply, that guides my future, the one that draws my destiny. I feel the greatness of this life. I feel the beauty of this journey. And I listen to my heart. And I let my heart guide me to know Baba more, to know myself more, and to rise above any obstacle, to make them small while the heart gets bigger. And to remember that we're never alone. Baba's hand is on my head. Baba's wisdom is what he pours on the soul every day. I feel the greatness of this life. And in silence, I just withdraw within myself. while spreading light at the same time, like a lighthouse, drawing energy from Baba, spreading light. Om Shanti. So I carry on sharing things.
Yes.
I remember my first encounter with Genti Ben. She has been the first senior that I met. And she was in the center in Rome. I was again very, very young. And she closed her eyes and while meditating. So I thought, we are meant to meditate with the eyes open. Why she's closing her eyes? In fact, she went into trance. But it wasn't explained in advance, so I didn't know. I was looking at her like, for drishti, but she was with her eyes closed. And then she came back from trance, and that was, explained that she was in trance. And the words that she shared, I still remember them because they were so powerful. And because it was my really, really beginning Gyan, I was still, in spite of having, quite good roots, I was still, thinking, what am I doing with my life? But the message, it was bold message. She said, don't think that victory is far off. Victory, because if you think the victory is far off, many things can happen between now and then. No, victory is here today. And those words were so perfect, like arrows that hit the target. And I thought, right, I have to decide right now that my victory is to stay in this path and to be a spiritual, in this spiritual journey. And so I never forgot those lines. Victory is here and now. That's a kind of willpower to do now what is right for me now. Procrastinating, saying, well, I will think about it, let's see tomorrow, is really out of time. Time is very short, we know that. So victory is here and now. Otherwise, many obstacles can come in between. It was such a powerful thing. And then she looked at me and she said, I can see the star of fortune shining on your forehead. And that also touched me a lot because it was a full room and she was actually talking to me. I was, why I was there very shy in a corner, not really expecting to be considered. Actually, I wanted to be invisible in my own world of, Baba and me. And I enjoy doing karma yoga, really introvert and shy. And but shortly after, they pushed me to teach, which was my biggest test. Because I was so happy just washing, the dishes or cleaning or, working at computer. Being invisible was easy and good to me, but I was the only Italian. The people there were not Italian either, so it was obvious that I was pushed forward. And so the big task I had was to be pushed to teach, which was good, of course. Afterwards, I did appreciate it a lot. But at that moment, it was I was so scared. And my first public experience was frightening, really, because they asked me to do a commentary, meditation commentary, in a place with more than 100 people and the Dalai Lama there. And I tried at the last moment to escape, like finding tons of excuses, but nothing worked. So I had to go on the stage with my knees shaking. And I was thinking, Baba, you do it. I'm not able. I had 3 months in Guyana. How can I be facing such a public? And the Dalai Lama seated in the first row. It was an event where we were invited, interfaith event. And so I sat and just surrender to Baba. And the commentary came out, good enough. But this was my first big test of facing public and, coming out with more courage. I thought I was courageous because I began a business when I was really young, traveling, not really in fear. I didn't have fear of people at all. I would just travel alone. Is what I did in Europe a lot. But then I realized how deep are many fears within us. And so dealing with the fear and courage was my first job in Guyana. Even the fear of authority in a way. Because it's like when we take Jan, we become child again. It's like daddy was like, father. Genti was like a mother. Daddy Janki was like a father. But such a reverence. I don't know how to say it in English. Like the relationship with the authority was, again, something to work on. But I think a big sustenance that I found important was to learn to churning, which when I give a course here, or since I'm in Guyana, even during the Raja Yoga 7 days course, which is now 12 days, but even during that course, I push people to learn to churn. Because in my experience, it's been a very important sustenance. I used to take 5 points from the Murli, and my intellect was really rusted. I couldn't explore any point. The Murli was a feeling. I would listen to the Murli and be enchanted by the vibration of the Murli. But churning a point wasn't my cup of tea at all. Like, this is a point, that's it, clear enough, nothing more to say. but luckily I was pushed to learn to churn. And so I would take 5 points from the Murli and I would go to work. And at lunchtime, I would sit having lunch and then sit with my notebook and try to churn those 5 points. And I would fall asleep. Literally, I would fall asleep on the notebook. It was such an effort to churn. But I didn't give up. And I thought, if they told me it's important, Papa is talking about churning a lot, I have to learn. I was very determined. And so few lines were coming out after every point, and then half a page, and then 1 page. In 1 month, it was such a completely different feeling. And what really enchanted me was that churning meant opening our inner drawers of wealth, of wisdom, for that to emerge. So it's like realizing that I knew so much more than what I thought. And exploring Gyan was really like diving deep in my consciousness and opening up those drawers of wisdom for those pearls to emerge from the depth of the ocean. And that was so fulfilling that when I was alone in the center, after the Murli, I would spend 1 hour journey. And sometime for the Avyak Murli, I would chop, cut the Murli, a copy, and for every phrase, I would stick it on a paper, A4 paper, A4 notebook. I would stick that phrase, like a little paragraph at the top, and churn the entire page. And so every Avyak Murli is made of many, many points, many, many phrases, and I would churn all of them. And it was really sustaining me intensely. So if I had to say what sustained me in Gyan, it was the relationship with Brahma Baba, as I said before, and churning. And of course, not being far from London, I used to go to London often and meet the family, meet Daddy. Daddy was surely an incredible inspiration. And so the possibility to go to London very often was also a plus. It was also very, very special. And but churning and sharing, of course. I used to give a lot of courses all the time. I really love to share Gyan and to see people changing, because when we begin a course, people are a bit grumpy or sad or not really awakened. There is no light. And after some time, seeing the change in people, that was so special. It was like helping God to awaken souls around. So I've never really stopped in sharing Gyan. And during the COVID, actually, we were doing a daily program online. So it became even more intense, but because we were doing program every day, sometimes 5 programs a day. But I think every Brahmin should share Gyan, give the course, being trained in teaching, because it's the biggest learning to grow. I think I've been growing mostly while sharing with people. And so that was, and also writing, because after being so much, churning a lot, and so writing a lot, then I decided to, some people actually ask me to explain some virtues. Like there are virtues that are not so common, like dignity, royalty, humility. They are not so common in people's language either. And so they asked me if I could explain those virtues. So I wrote them down, as I love to write by them. And out of that, I kept writing about virtues. So my first book was about the 36 virtues of the soul. And it's still today the book that we sell the most. Is called The Song of Freedom, because I feel that when we discover our own virtues and powers, we become free. And then the rest of the things that I wrote. But something that right now I'm doing in terms of service since the lockdown is I'm sending every morning 1 minute audio on powers. I started with BK's with the book on powers, and then that book finished, and many more people asked about that. So now on a daily basis, about 15,000 people are getting this message. Probably more because people forward them. I don't know. So it's difficult to say. But it's reaching so many souls. And it's only 1 minute. And it's every day different. And you get some, like taking inspiration from the Murli or from Daddy's classes, from anything that comes on the way. And so it's, when people say they don't know what to do for service, I find it strange. So much to do. So many people are in need. Such a variety of possibility. And service also pushes us to be creative in one way or another. So many things that we can do for Papa. Apart from being an example and expressing the vibration of yoga. So I'm not aware of time actually. Okay.
You have another half an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you like me to keep talking or doing a meditation or?
Yeah, it will be nice if you can lead us into that powers and virtues meditation. And afterwards, if you can share a little bit about the power of purity with respect to awakening the saint within, and especially this is a Raki time. So if you can share a little bit of your thoughts on purity and the deeper versions of that, that will be great.
Okay, fine. So we do a little meditation. Sorrow is increasing everywhere, but also awareness. So let me focus on my awareness, on the greatness of the soul. You are a powerful soul. I am a powerful soul. Let's awaken this kind of awareness within me, within you, in the inner sanctuary where silence is sovereign, where the light of God is so attractive that all the rest loses its power. The light of God is so attractive, everything else loses strength. And while I feel the sufferings of the world, I return to my peace and share peace. Rays of peace are shared with the world. While I feel people's despair, I share hope. While I feel their fear, I share courage. Like a cornucopia, pouring love, peace, courage, hope on the world. And I enter the subtle dimension where everything takes the color of truth, where the end becomes the beginning, where there is no death, but the feeling of eternity in my awareness. And I become stable in the feeling of eternity, being an eternal soul, peaceful soul, powerful soul. And I make Baba's attraction so strong that nothing else pulls the soul, only Baba's love, Baba's energy that pulls me beyond everything, giving me the strength to share hope when needed, giving me the strength to share love when needed. Like a cloud that carries the power of the ocean, drops of truth, hope and compassion that wash away sadness and despair. Rays of joy emanates from the soul. Rays of love when I place this angelic role, being just an instrument of God. Silence is the powerful language of the heart that reaches troubled mind, cooling them down, like the touch of a mother hand on the heart. Silence is the powerful language. That reaches painful hearts. And for a little while, I remain in this consciousness, sharing love, peace, immense compassion with the world. Shanti.
Thank you. It was powerful thought, staying in that traction of one God's light. Thank you.
So you want me to share about purity?
Yeah, the effect of purity and how can we awaken the divinity from within? And some of your personal experiences around like what an environment creates, that inner environment creates that atmosphere to awaken the divinity.
I guess that for every Brahmin, there are many tests, reactions, sanskaras playing their games. I think all our journey is about changing our sanskaras from impure to pure, from acquired to the original self. So it's eventually all about changing our sanskara back to the real one, the true one, the original ones. And we encounter within the family a variety of sanskaras. I think the clash of sanskara is so common. And I remember that junkie, suggesting people that were having clash of sanskara to dance together. Is what she said to me once, that we couldn't get along with another sister I used to live with. And she said, dance together. That was an unusual advice. But the sanskara is really something to harmonize sanskara, what we call the dance of sanskara. I think is a test or a challenge for every BK, because we come with a big loaded bag of all sanskaras. And I think that when we react, any reaction that we have, it's an invitation to stop being introvert. And for introversion, I mean, I choose a direction. And the direction is to go within and check, why am I reacting? And I think I would not be able to move from something which is not working, or something impure, or something dirt, to something clean, real, original, and pure, unless I do my inner job, my inner work. Because in the variety of sanskara, it's very easy to blame people, to point the finger like I'm feeling bad because somebody else, or I'm not able to do this because, so looking outside, blaming, condemning, or, pointing the finger is part of our habits strongly for half a cycle, and is what is going to improve our karmic accounts, because we want to have the right dharana, and also our impurity. It's like I will increase my bad sanskara rather than changing them. So the only way that I found important was to stop and change direction. Not looking at them, that was very easy. Something didn't work, who is the fault? But stopping and being honest and look the self is, I think, the beginning of cleaning the heart, purifying the mind. And a pure heart doesn't blame anybody. A clean mind doesn't entertain waste. But we come with this sanskara very strongly. I don't know there, but in Italy, to blame people is so common, to, point the finger, and spreading all sorts of things is very easy. Is an extrovert culture here. And so it's easy to, spread all over everything. But it builds up karmic account, and my bad sanskara, instead of changing, they are improving. So I become professionally good in bad sanskaras. So an exercise that I did many, many years ago, when I kept having waste thoughts about some people, because of their behavior, offending, aggressive, this kind of common behavior out of ego. And, ego clashes are so common. And our own ego, where is whatever, it's reacting. So the exercise I found very useful was to sit with Baba in meditation, and every person that would come in my mind, I would see them in the golden age form. Sometimes we do this exercise, especially Amber Vela, to bless them, to, everybody that comes in my mind, just sharing a blessing. But in that case, the exercise was to see them in the golden age form. Like, which quality, if I imagine somebody in their deity form, what quality would stand out in them? And incredible, because the quality that I was seeing in meditation while I was passing by every Brahmin that I knew, because I thought, let me, do this exercise with every single BK that was part of the family. And I was surprised that we can detect a quality that we would never think about. Like somebody very arrogant, it came out with innocent, or things like that. Something that was emerging in the image that I was thinking of them, that I didn't expect, that surprised me. But it was a very strong feeling that was real. And for days after this experience, I kept thinking of them with the eyes, with the vision of that quality. Let's say somebody was innocent, somebody was cheerfulness, somebody was love. And the attribute of those qualities to them was not the obvious one. I don't know if it's clear, but can I detect a non-obvious quality in somebody, and can I keep seeing them through that lens? And because I did this exercise while being in yoga, and it was extremely strong, and it remained until today. If I think of those souls, I still remember the quality I saw on a subtle level, of course. And so it's an exercise I would suggest to just to purify, to clean the heart, because purity is a big quality. I mean, it's an incredible power. But apart from following all the discipline, of course, to clean and pure my mind and my heart, I need to start changing my feelings and substituting rejection with acceptance, or erase thoughts with appreciation. And it's a specific exercise that I can do. And apart from this, I remember a brother in Madhubanivasi that he was sharing an exercise he used to do. And he said that he would sit in the courtyard and bless everybody that was passing by. So it's like, may you be happy, may you be powerful. With every single soul that was passing by, he would bless them. And I think using the power of blessing, I think yesterday Baba in the Murli was saying that taking blessing is our gift. Baba is blessing us, and the blessing is our gift. As much as I take from Baba that gift, can I share that gift? The practice of sharing blessing purifies the soul. So many possible exercises to practice becoming a bit more pure. Churning purifies the intellect. Changing my vision towards people, like the exercise I mentioned, purifies my heart. And karma yoga purifies the senses. Less and less people are inclined for karma yoga, but it's so essential on a daily basis because it purifies the senses. And also using Baba when some situations are complex. Sometimes relationships are not easy. Sometimes there are sanskara, they are not easy to bypass. I think at this time, at the Kalpa, reaching, the end, whatever is unfinished is emerging in the soul. So the most rooted sanskara, the deepest sanskaras are popping up to be cleansed. Maybe within many years in Gyan, we've been working on a lot of sanskara, but the deepest rooted one, they might still be there. That in one way or another, they're polluting our mind. So I think if we want to really reach the end successfully, experiencing the victory of becoming what Papa wants us to become, a real, honest work on the self is essential. And So in my experience, anytime that I see some reaction, something that annoyed me or distract me or disturb me, it's an incredible signal that that's where I need to stop and change direction. Why am I reacting? What is happening within me? And it's an opportunity to check myself. It's an opportunity to invite Baba to be with me in this work. And it's an opportunity to clean my heart. And in my Brahmin experience, as I mentioned to the brother before, mercy has been a big tool. Because in many situations, within the variety of sanskara, the feeling of mercy has been a way out. Because sometimes people get stuck or even leave Baba because of not being able to go over certain dynamics. But the feeling of this is my chance to grow, to change, to overcome my weaknesses. So I think this kind of willingness to change the self is what leads to purify mind and heart. And this is the Raki time, so such an incredible opportunity to check the self. Otherwise, if I don't do this job, because checking is a sanskara, I will check people. So I like the idea that introversion is the direction of that I choose to go within and do my final job of changing what is left to be changed. And use Baba for this, because sometimes we cannot do that job just churning or thinking of realizing, but we need an extra power. I remember in Madhuban one day, I was having some complaining with Baba, saying, many people met Bapdada on a personal level, getting a personal blessing. I didn't. And so I was, sweetly complaining to Baba, I didn't have any personal blessing because I arrived in the year that he stopped having personal meeting, exactly that year. And so then I went to sit in Om Shanti Bhavan for meditation, and I felt Baba pulling the soul so strongly and just pouring love in such a way that I thought, this is love. I never experienced that before. It was such an experience of love that I never felt that kind of feeling before. We assume that what we feel is love, but might not be true. And in that occasion, the feeling was unknown. I didn't know that feeling before. And it was like Baba saying, this is your personal blessing. Just the experience of love. Baba is just love for you. And so we can draw any experience that we want when we are sincerely dedicated to Baba and we really deeply wish our own transformation to occur. So it's like willing to change, willing to become an angel, willing to become a deity, and use your willpower to get it done. And Baba definitely helps enormously. So,
Thank you. Thank you. That was really deep insights. Um, if anyone have any questions or comments, feel free to unmute and share. Yeah, Kalpana.
Om Shanti. I really, what you explained about changing the sanskaras and how to stop, and instead of pointing the finger, because that is the old sanskara is to blame others. But you said you turn it around and you come within. So when you come back to yourself, do you send those souls blessings of peace and love? And is that how you transform it?
I transform the vision of them, trying to detect their best. Because we are, somebody might have a lot of quality and a lot of weakness, as we do. And when we express a weakness, what do we expect from people? Comprehension, understanding. So if I do expect understanding when I'm weak and I express a weakness of mine, let me do it first. So it's a very determined thought. I want to be understanding. And so when somebody is actually provoking some waste thoughts in me, because the first thing that you see is what doesn't work and what annoys you, then how fast am I able to shift? Because it's impossible not to have waste or negative thoughts if we are realistic. But how fast am I moving from the waste to the good? That will express my power. How quick am I in moving towards seeing something good in that soul? Like, yes, it's very, aggressive, but is also like this. And I want to appreciate what is good. We know this is the main dharma, but it's all about practicing. And if I don't, because it's easier to keep being negative or controlling to speak about it. I used to work for some time, long time ago, in a company. I only worked there for 6 months. And they called me, like temporary job. I was a student, so it was my early time in Yan. And they called me because the lady that I was substituting left suddenly because she couldn't cope with the anger of the boss. The head of the department was shouting all the time. And so the secretariat, there was his personal assistant left. So they were in need of a substitution. So they called me. And as soon as I arrived, the people around told me, poor you, oh gosh, you will, I don't know how long will you last? Because it's so impossible. That man is impossible. And I was, new in Gyan with all my intoxication. I said, well, this is a good challenge. I take it. And so every person that would come and meet him, I would just wait for them to come out. He was so aggressive. People would come out really like frustrated dogs. And I would just walk with them, trying to give them a different vision of that man. Saying, yeah, he can't control himself, but he wants the best for the company. He wants to improve. So I was positive all the way through with everybody. And it never shouted with me except once in 6 months. And everybody were taking support, because at the end, when I left, my table was full of gifts. We couldn't see the table. In a way that meant they were feeling served, helped, which was my aim. So just to talking words have incredible impact. So talking goodness, even though I know the shortcomings, but yet I'm talking to rise the situation, not to pull it down. That's the work of an angel. Pull things out, draw the best of people rather than the worst. It's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a conscious choice.
And that applies to situations also. I'll just end in one minute. That, we had a friend who had a bad experience recently with British Airways airline. And we are going to be traveling in another 2 months. So the thought comes up, we're going to have problems when we travel also. But I suddenly realized that I am creating that trouble if this thought comes up. So I need to change the thought that our journey is going to go very well and raise that situation, like you said. So what applies to people also applies to situations.
Everything, yeah. That's right.
Great. And last question is your book, The Song of Freedom, available on Amazon or anywhere else?
No. It's actually only in Italian.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only in Italian, and we only sell it in the centers.
Great. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Om Shanti.
Thank you. Kavita, if you want to unmute yourself and ask the question. There's a question from Kavita on the chat. Okay, so let me read out the question. The question was, when we are giving love and respect to others, but you don't get the same back, instead there is some more hatred and talking lies behind your back. I understand it's about karmic account, but how to become free from this is her question.
Yeah. We become free from a karmic account, not sustaining, not putting another, not adding to the chain. And I think it's a test for every Brahmin to be criticized, to be defamed. Eventually the yagya will be defamed, as Baba kept mentioning, there will be defamation of the yagya. And before that, probably each one of us in our own way is defamed, criticized, etc. So which kind of power of virtue do I need to face that kind of criticism or defamation? This is a question I ask myself. What do I need to improve to be able to face that? Because it's like every examination of life. It's provoking us to improve some powers or some virtues. And of course, is a karmic account, something with that soul, or just a karmic account, because probably I've been criticizing, so I'm criticized. So we know that this is part of our journey. That's where before I mentioned mercy. I need to have mercy on myself and people and the situation to be able not to be too much affected by defamation and criticism. And because it's something common that if they criticize me, I will defend myself criticizing back. And that's when the chain is added and the karma is going to go worse. But if I want to cut the karmic bondage, I will talk good about somebody talking bad about me. Can you imagine if you talk good about somebody that is talking bad? It might seem difficult, but if you practice that, it will give you so much good feeling for yourself. It's like you do. I think the awareness of karma is fundamental. If I'm aware that this is a karmic account and I need to cut it, doing exactly the opposite, the more they offend me, the more I'm kind. Not the submission kindness, but the powerful kindness. Because that's the only way to cut that bondage. So the awareness of karma, it makes a big difference in my response to people's attitude.
Om Shanti. Thank you, sister.
Thank you. Carmen, if you want to unmute yourself and share, that will be nice. Yeah. Anyone have any questions or comments? We are at the top of the hour. Yeah, Carmen.
Yes, this is Carmen. Yes. Om Shanti. I'm
Om
from Hong
Shanti.
Kong. Hi. I'm from Hong Kong, so I get it that you've been to Hong Kong before.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for your sharing. You're very, very beautiful and pure soul. Thanks to Baba. And may blessings to for Baba's blessings to all of us. And we can learn to see the beauty in each and every soul. Om Shanti. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you. It's really beautiful sharing, and we were hoping if you can share some of the books or something. All are in Italian. Okay.
Well, no, one is being translated in Spanish.
Spanish.
The Angel Within You is in Spanish,
Nice.
but the rest are Italian. And one is poetry. It's impossible to translate it.
Yeah, it's beautiful how churning Baba's knowledge will awaken the poet within us too, because Baba rhymes every word Baba says, and it's not just sounding right, but it is also, it feels right and is logically right also. It's beautiful how things all come together. And thank you very much for this beautiful sharing, Sister Antonella, and special thanks for taking time at your very precious Amrit Vela time with Baba, and taking time to spend time with Baba's family. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you and to everybody that was online. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. There are a lot of hearts from Brother Robert Lee and lots of love from everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.